multiverse of beer and music.
Hey everyone, DrTangent here, welcoming you back to the multiverse of beer and music. Tonight we're doing a little bit of a tribute. Very recently, Anthony Dominic Benedetto passed away, better known as Tony Bennett. And he's truly an amazing story. I've always had a soft spot for Tony Bennett. He's a true rags to riches to rags to riches story that is pretty inspiring. He started off as a child. His father passed away when he was young. His mother was working as a seamstress during the Great Depression, just trying to keep the family together. So they struggled. He started singing while he waited tables in restaurants around Queens, New York, and really kind of fell in love with it. In the mid-40s, he was drafted and served in the Army in World War II. But after that, he began his musical career in earnest, and in the 50s, broke out. The 50s were his decade. I know I'm going pretty far back there for a lot of you, but bear with me. It's worth the ride. He got tons of accolades, as you will see. Did very well for himself. But things started sliding in the mid-60s. As rock and roll was becoming more and more of the thing, he, at the urging of his producers, tried to alter the kind of music he did. He's very much a jazz and standards guy. He did an album or two where he tried to update the types of songs he was singing, but he hated it. From the mid-60s through the 70s, he really struggled. Popularity was declining. He wasn't great managing his own money, and he had cocaine addiction. In fact, in 1979, he nearly died from a cocaine overdose. And it was after that that he involved his sons in the management of his business, in the management of his career, and he really started making a turnaround. All the way through until his last performance was just last year, 2022. He became popular all over again. It's a fantastic story. The beer we're pairing tonight, it's already poured because some idiot forgot to press record when we did the pour. And he's been fired. I'm his replacement. But the beer we're drinking tonight would have been a fantastic beer for him. It is from Funky Buddha Brewing. It is called the Manhattan Double Rye Ale. Funky Buddha is from Boca Raton, Florida. They started in 2010, were bought by Constellation Brands in 2017. If you remember Constellation Brands' experience buying the San Diego brewery Ballast Point, maybe I'll do a beer short on that at some point, because that's a pretty long story. But Constellation Brands, big macro company, has not had the greatest track record owning craft breweries. They bought Funky Buddha in 2017, and it was just announced last month that the brothers who founded Funky Buddha are in the process of buying the company back from Constellation Brands, so it's going to be free. There's also another brewery in Texas called Four Corners that was bought by Constellation in 2018 that just bought their brand back. So Constellation is just terrible with craft beers. However, this beer was fantastic. The only downside to this particular pour is that I found this bottle lurking in the back of my fridge, and I had purchased it in 2019. Back in 2019, this was just phenomenal. Now it's good with some flaws. But what it is the Manhattan Double Rye. Their description is evoking the rye cocktail. We blended a double rye ale aged in High West rye barrels with a Belgian triple aged in wine barrels. then infused it with herbs and botanicals. So they went after the Manhattan cocktail with this. Back when I first purchased this was just fantastic. Now it's good. It definitely has it smells like a Manhattan. You smell earthy botanicals. You smell some sweetness. You can smell some spiciness from the rye. If I close my eyes, I can even imagine the garnish, the orange twist in cherry. Tastes like a Manhattan, but where it's starting to show its age is that the tannins from the barrels is starting to come through more, and there's a little bit of like a prune or raisin flavor that's coming through, that are signs of age, signs of oxidation going on. So, would it have been fantastic 2 years ago? Yes. Is it good now? Yeah. But we're pairing this with Tony Bennett because personally, I just can't think of Tony Bennett or Frank Sinatra or Dean Martin, any of those old crooners, jazz singers, singers of standards, without thinking about having a cocktail, without thinking about being in a lounge, dark, listening to the singer and having a drink. So this is for Tony Bennett. May you rest in peace. All right, folks. Now, I could have gone with one of his bigger hits, like I Left My Heart in San Francisco, or The Way You Look Tonight, or Rags to Riches. But whenever I think of Tony Bennett, I always think of this song. And he did this thing in his concerts to demonstrate the power he had, and still, till the day he died, had in his voice. He would sing this song without the aid of a microphone. And he did just this when he appeared on MTV's Unplugged. Let's check it out. Did you think? Pretty impressive if you ask me. His success notwithstanding, it's not just my opinion that ranks him as one of the best singers of all time. Frank Sinatra, in a 1965 interview with Life magazine, was quoted as saying, "For my money, Tony Bennett is the best singer in the business." Now, when Frank Sinatra says you're the best, you got to believe it. That's like Lionel Messi telling you, "Hey, you're the best soccer player in the world." You know, it's something. But like I said, as a kid, he got jobs starting at age 13. Be a singing waiter, like in Italian restaurants in Queens, and really fell in love with it. Did you catch the bit about the name he went under and who actually suggested that, since he was Italian, and when Bob Hope heard his full name, Anthony Dominic Benedetto, he's like, "Oh, that's a mouthful. Let's call you Tony Bennett." And poof, there you have it. But fantastic career. It was actually his idea to record duets with Lady Gaga. They had met at a charity event, and not a lot of people knew it, but Lady Gaga is a really good jazz singer, and it's something she really loves doing. But Tony Bennett recognized that, and Tony Bennett's like, "We need to record jazz duets album." And lo and behold, it was huge, as you saw, in the video. Those albums led to Tony Bennett setting some records, even a Guinness World Record. So yeah, right up to the end, he had a great way. But there you have it. This beer has seen better days, but it's still really good. If you dig back through your parents or maybe your grandparents' albums sitting in a milk crate somewhere in a basement or a storage space, maybe you'll come across the Tony Bennett album. Give it a try. Keep an open mind. If you like what I'm doing here, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe. If you do subscribe, make sure you hit that notification bell because I do put out new content minimally once a week. And I'd like for you to keep up with it. And if you've got anything on your mind, whether it's related to the specific beer, specific song that you're watching, leave me a comment. Even if it's completely on a tangent, leave me a comment. I love to interact. But until then, happy drinking.